All right, today's card is 3 plays. Charlotte Hornets plus 9.5 at the Cleveland Cavaliers, San Francisco 49ers minus 5.5 at the Indianapolis Colts, and Oklahoma City Thunder minus 16.5 hosting the Memphis Grizzlies. And yes, yesterday was a tasteful 0 and 3 for minus 3.3 units. Denver got pressure and still handed Jacksonville the cover with turnovers like it was a holiday gift exchange. Baltimore led late, then turned the fourth quarter into an escape room and forgot the key. And the Knicks won by exactly 7 when we needed 8. Which is the sports universe reminding us that the hook is not a number. It's a lifestyle. Cool. Let's go make the math feel better. We start in Cleveland with Charlotte plus 9.5, and this line is basically living off Cleveland's reputation from earlier in the season. The current Cavaliers are not that team because the whole defensive identity changes when Evan Mobley is not out there. Without that backline eraser, Cleveland's defense has fallen off a cliff, and lately they've been giving up points like they're running a charitable foundation for opposing offenses. And here's the part we actually like as underdog bettors. Charlotte is the exact kind of team that can accidentally stay close. They're high variance. They bomb threes. When a team is comfortable launching, you don't need them to be perfect for 48 minutes. You just need 2 or 3 little heaters where they go on a 12-2 run, and suddenly a double-digit spread starts sweating. Plus, we've already seen the blueprint in this building. Charlotte beat Cleveland here on December 14th, and it wasn't some fluky last-second bank shot. They got volume threes up, they hit enough of them, and their wings put stress on Cleveland's smaller guards. Con Knoopel was cooking off movement, Brandon Miller got clean looks, and Charlotte's activity on the glass created extra possessions. That combo is a nightmare for a favorite trying to win by 10, because every extra possession is another chance to keep the game annoying. Now add the situational layer, Cleveland is pressing. They've been losing, the crowd gets tense, and a big spread requires comfort. It requires a team that can get stops, build a margin, and then protect it without letting the underdog breathe. That's not what this version of Cleveland has been doing. Even Donovan Mitchell being listed as probable with an illness matters, because probable doesn't always mean fully explosive for 40 minutes, and a half step late on closeouts is basically a VIP pass for a 3-point team. Our numbers make this game much closer than the market does. Think Cleveland by about 5 instead of Cleveland by about 10. So when we're getting plus 9.5, we're not asking Charlotte to be great. We're asking them to be functional, hit their normal volume from deep, and make Cleveland earn every bucket. Hornets plus 9.5 is the play. Next up, Monday Night Football, 49ers minus 5.5 at the Colts. This one is simple in a way that feels almost rude. Indianapolis is trying to survive with a 44-year-old Phillip Rivers behind an offensive line that's missing key pieces at tackle. That's not underdog grit. That's a museum exhibit called Pocket Collapse 1975 to present. Rivers was never exactly a dual-threat quarterback. Even in his prime, his rushing highlights were mostly him successfully tying his own shoes. So when you put an immobile quarterback behind backup tackles and a pass rush that can win without blitzing, you're basically volunteering for sacks, throwaways, and the kind of third and long situations that make a play caller start bargaining with the universe. Meanwhile, San Francisco's offense is built to turn a zone-heavy defense into a slow-motion disaster. Brock Purdy is at his best when he can process the picture, hit the voids, and let the system create yards after the catch. Indianapolis leans heavily toward zone looks, and with their secondary not at full strength, it's not like they can just snap their fingers and turn into a man coverage bully overnight. That's a schematic mismatch that favors San Francisco staying on schedule, sustaining drives, and stacking points. The one thing Indianapolis does have is Jonathan Taylor, and yes, he can break a couple runs because volume is volume. But here's the problem. San Francisco can live with a few Taylor chunk plays if it means the Colts are shortening the game while still struggling to protect Rivers on obvious passing downs. If the Colts fall behind by 10, the whole script changes. They can't just run it 40 times, and that's when the trench problem becomes the entire story. We're laying minus 5.5 because we're betting the most predictable edge in football, protection. San Francisco should win this by a touchdown or more if they play a normal game, so give us 49ers minus 5.5. Now we finish in Oklahoma City, Thunder minus 16.5 against Memphis. And yes, 16.5 is huge. It's also the kind of number that shows up when one team has a full engine and the other team is pushing the car Flintstone style. Oklahoma City at home has been a machine. They win there, and they win there by a lot. Their average home margin has basically lived around the high teens, which is important because we're not asking for a ceiling game. We're asking for Oklahoma City to be Oklahoma City in their own building. Memphis is the bigger issue. They're not just missing a star. They're missing the infrastructure that lets an NBA offense function. No Ja Morant, and multiple ball handlers and rotation pieces are out. That means the guys bringing the ball up are dealing with the exact defense that turns shaky handles into instant points the other way. And that's the key multiplier. Oklahoma City doesn't just force turnovers. They turn turnovers into runway points. Live ball steals become layups, dunks, corner threes in transition, and suddenly a competitive first quarter turns into a 20-point game before you can even get your snack out of the microwave. Even if Oklahoma City is a little banged up in the front court, the matchup still leans their way because Memphis isn't built right now to punish them inside. If the Thunder go small, they get faster, they switch everything, and they crank up the pressure. That is not what a depleted Memphis backcourt wants to see. That's like learning to swim by getting launched off a cruise ship. And we've got recent history that matters emotionally too. Oklahoma City handled Memphis when it counted, and the Thunder know exactly what it looks like when Memphis runs out of answers. If Oklahoma City brings even a normal level of focus, this can get lopsided fast. So yes, we're laying the big one. Thunder minus 16.5. Quick recap so we can cash and move on. Hornets plus 9.5 at the Cavaliers, 49ers minus 5.5 at the Colts, and Thunder minus 16.5 against the Grizzlies. We took our 0 and 3 yesterday. We stared into the abyss, and the abyss said, try defense and offensive line injuries. So that's what we did. Let's have a day, and as always, bet like adults. Small edges, consistent sizing, and no revenge wagers fueled by the ghost of yesterday's hook.